Hello and welcome to tonight's webinar. Thank you again for taking time on your schedule to join me. Tonight's webinar is going to be part two of our webinar we did last Tuesday, and it's called How to Make Better Decisions Using Google Analytics. So this is part two. In Tuesday's webinar, we kind of talked about some of the theory, understanding of analytics, but tonight we're really going to deep dive into analytics and really kind of show you the platform. And once again, Google Analytics is a very powerful software. It tracks a lot of things, but tonight I'm going to show you what are the key areas that you need to focus on that are going to make using analytics better for your business. Okay, so once again, I want to do a check-in to make sure you're there. So after Tuesday night's webinar, I spoke to one of the attendees, and he was saying, "Hey, this is great, but if we can we share our business?" So I'm all about sharing people's business, so let's do that. So in the chat box, I want you to type the web address of your website. So in the chat box, just type the web address of your website for your business. And if you don't have a website, just type your name. That's good enough, but drop the website of your business. Anyone want to share? Still waiting on somebody to share their website. Okay, let's move on. It looks like no one wants to share tonight, but that's okay. Let's get back to the webinar. But as always, I want to do things throughout this class, just to make sure that you are still tracking and still following. So tonight we have about an hour. We're talking about a lot of topics, but the best webinars are the webinars where I get the best response from the audience. So any questions you have about digital marketing or analytics, now is the time to answer those. So anytime throughout the chat, just hop in the comments box, chat box, and type in your questions, and I'll be sure to answer those. But once again, this class is all about you. So I want to hear your questions, your comments, because that makes the class better, not only for me, but also for you. Okay, moving on. I have a stat here. Not a stat, actually a quote that I like to share. And it says that if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. No, I'm not seeing your responses. Maybe my chat's not working. I see that response. But if you want to share your website again, then I'll be sure to respond. But no, I didn't see your first response to your website. So if you want to, just drop it now or later in the chat, and I'll be sure to share it. But getting back to the quote, it says, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. And, that's a simple quote, but I think it really speaks to business. So think about in life, we measure everything. We measure our weight, we measure our speed, our age, our jobs. We get paid a certain amount per hour. So everything is measured. But I feel like sometimes when we get in business and we're passionate about what we're doing, that we kind of forget that just because you're passionate about something, you still have to track it. You still have to measure it. So, people always say they want to improve their website. They want to make more sales. They want to get more likes and more shares, but that doesn't happen magically. The only way you can get more business to your website, social media accounts, is by tracking it. And that's really what analytics comes in. So the first thing that you have to do is have a baseline. So you have to find out where you stand now. So let's say you're only getting 20 visitors per day. Fine, that's your baseline. Now use analytics to scale that to have more and more visitors. So by looking at analytics, you can say, hey, this is happening on our website. These 20 people are visiting this page. Let me post more content like this. So once again, the only way that your business is going to improve in digital marketing or any area, if you track what you're doing and you set goals. So it's so important, once again, not to say, hey, I just want to get more sales, more clients. That's fine. But what are your goals? And, analytics and data is so important because those data and stats help you track that goal and help you make sure you're getting to that point. So, excuse me, before I move on, anybody want to share their website again? Seeing that the chat feature is working once again. So if you want to drop your website in the chat, and I'll be sure to share it. So tonight's agenda, let's cover what we're talking about tonight. Once again, we're talking about mainly Google Analytics, but the first session, once again, is going to be an intro to Google Analytics. And our last webinar, we talked about analytics in a general way. Tonight, we're really going to focus on why Google Analytics is the best way to track what's going on your website. The next thing, we're going to really break down how to navigate Google Analytics. And like I said in the opening, Google Analytics can be very confusing. There's a lot of stats and a lot of tabs to track. I'm going to show you, what key sections and what key stats you need to track. Next, if you don't have a Google Analytics account, I'm going to show you how to create an account. And I'm also going to show you how to create a Google Data Studio account. So Google Studio Google Data Studio is a little different, but once again, it's a way that you can make easy reports for your analytics. So we'll talk about that. And as always, we'll review and recap before we close out. All right, so intro to Google Analytics. And I said this earlier and I'll say it again. Analytics is a very powerful software. The great thing about it is it's a free software. So for free, you can sign up for an account, you can track your website, and you can see what's going on. And once again, when you have an understanding of what's going on with your customers and your website, that's better for you because now you can use those numbers to make your website and your content be more in line with your customers' wants. So that's why Google Analytics is so important. Once again, great program, it's free, and it's going to give you so much information on your website. So to kind of break down again, Google Analytics gives you a deep understanding of your customers. That's really what it is. We're talking about analytics, but in the day, analytics is a way that you can better understand your customers, better understand what they're doing on your website, and better understand what products and services they want from your company. It's all about that. And, a recurring theme that I'll say tonight again, in all of these webinars is it's all about your customer. All of your marketing and all your digital marketing has to be targeted to your customer. So any tool they can use to give you more understanding and more data on your customer is definitely going to improve your business. Let me pause real quick as a quick question. So who on here now currently has a Google Analytics account? If you have one, type yes. If you don't have one, type no. So I wanted to hear from you. Do you have a Google Analytics account? Yes or no? Wow, the chats are quiet tonight. Yes, thank you. I see your comment, checking. Great. See a lot of yes. Okay, great. So all the people that said yes, they have a Google Analytics account. What challenges are you having with that account? Do you feel like it's a tool, or are you kind of confused as how to use it? So tell me how. Okay, we have a few no's here. Well, that's okay. Tonight we'll give you the basics of Google Analytics, and then we'll teach you how to set up an account. So for those that don't, stay tuned. We'll teach you that. So once again, the people that have a Google account, what challenges are you having with that account? Any challenges, just type those in the chat box, and I'll be sure to respond to those. Okay. Yeah, thank you for that comment. It says it's just there. I don't use it. Yeah, I think a lot of people fall into that category. When you get a website, one of the first things you do is you set up an account on Google Analytics. You may install the tracking code on your website, and then it kind of stays there. So that's one of the things I think is really important to not only have a Google Analytics account, but You should check in on an account, whether it's weekly or even daily or even monthly. Just check in on an account, because once again, you have all that data being recorded about your customers. It only makes sense to look at that data and see where it's going. And I think one thing too, why a lot of people create accounts on analytics and they leave it because they're not sure how to use it. So once again, tonight, I'm going to show you how to use it. I'm going to break down simply, what items and what tasks that you need to keep an eye on. And I believe doing that will make it easier for you to log in, whether that's weekly or monthly, and get a better understanding of exactly what Google Analytics is telling you. I have one more comment here. It said website doesn't get much traffic, so analytics are NA mostly. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's a valid point. Sometimes there may be a new website or a website doesn't get much traffic. But, one of the things I just said, and I'll say it again, is you know your baseline. So it's okay that you're not getting, much traffic. But I think the key is understanding where you're at and then finding ways to build that traffic. So if that's sending out more emails that have a link that come back to your website, if that's posting more on social media and that people come back to your website, those are ways. So it's okay if you don't have a ton of customers. It's good to have a starting point to understand where you're at. And like I said, you want to set a goal. Fine, if you're only getting 5 visitors a day, that's not great. It's not bad, but it's where you're at. Set a plan in place. Say, hey, how am I over time going to increase the amounts of visitors that come to my website? And I believe one way of doing that is looking at your data. Even if you're only getting 5 or 10 visitors a day, say, fine, the 5 visitors I have a day, what are they doing? What things are they looking at? What keywords are they searching to find my website? And start doing more of that. And hopefully over time, you build a bigger following. But yeah, it happens a lot. People don't get a ton of visitors and they give up. But I'll say this, digital marketing is a long haul. It's not something that happens, overnight. It may take, a few weeks or even a few months to really get the hang of it. But, I would encourage you, if you're having a low amount of visitors, still keep tracking that and come up with a plan of how you're going to get more visits to your website. One more question here from Abigail. Well, comment. Yeah, she said too much information. Yeah, I agree. Analytics can be overwhelming. There is so much information and there's so many terms that are on there that it's hard to understand. Sometimes I struggle with analytics because there's so much going on. So once again, I think one of the key things is knowing what information to ignore or to not make a priority, and knowing what information to track. That's going to make it much easier for you. So thanks for sharing those comments. I'll be sure tonight's webinar to really touch on those points to make sure you get better understanding. So see, it's going back to the slides again. Okay, and this is really just saying it again, but analytics help you get a better understanding of your business and your customers. And from that, you can make business decisions. That's really all about it again. You're looking at that data because the data is telling you what your customer is doing, and then you know how to shift your marketing based on that response. So that is why analytics is so important. So I'm going to give you some of the other reasons why I believe using analytics is so important to your business. So the first one, really key one, it allows you to learn which terms and which traffic sources drive the most traffic to your website. And that's so important. So knowing what keywords people are typing in to come to your website is so important, because once you know what keywords, you can start to create more blog posts. You can have better keywords on your website. So keywords are very important. Make sure you have the right terms on your website. And let me back up and just define keywords and search terms again. So, think about what are the words that somebody are going to type into Google search to find your business. And they always don't type the name of your business. Sometimes they don't know. So they're going to type in your service. They'll type in floors, and they'll type in floors near me. They'll type in floors in Florida, things like that. So when it comes up to writing the content for your website, you want to think about what terms people are typing in to find you. So one of the easiest ways is to go to Google search, clear your browser history, pretend that you're your customer, and you want to type in words that somebody will try to find you. And once again, type in words that people will type in when they don't know your name, they don't know your service. They'll type in a broad category to find you. So once again, analytics is so important because it tells you what terms people are typing, and secondly, it tells you what traffic is coming to your website. That traffic can come from your email newsletter. That traffic can come from YouTube. That can come from email. That traffic can be somebody typing in directly into Google and finding your business. So it's really important to know where that traffic is coming from, because once you know where it's coming from, then you can spend more time on that network or sending more emails, because you know that it's working and that it's bringing visitors back to your website. The next thing that's very important is it allows you to see demographic information of your most profitable customers. That's very important. So once again, the thing in digital marketing, we're trying to identify your customer. And once you have a customer, you want more customers like that. And the chances are your customers have a lot of things in common. So once you have a customer that makes a purchase on your website, it's very important to understand what drove that customer to the website. So find out what keywords they typed in, what site they went to that led to them making the purchase. And that's so important. And that's what analytics does. It lets you understand your most profitable customers and what they did to get to your website, what they did to make a sale. Did they call you? Did they type in your web address? Did they come from social media? Did they come from email? It lets you understand how your customers got to you. And that is so important. The next thing, it allows you to understand what content your audience is most interested in. That's huge. So I think one thing in digital marketing is in business, we spend so much time creating products, services, PDFs, business cards, all this stuff. And we don't know if it works or not. But the thing I love about digital marketing is that we can track everything. We can see if it's working. So let's say you're spending your time every day making 10 social media posts, and you spend, I don't know, an hour a day doing that. Okay. And you look at your analytics and you see from that, those 10 posts, you only got one visitor to your website. Then you say, you know what? I'm spending so much time on this channel, trying to get customers, and not working. But guess what? The email newsletter I send out once a week, I'm getting 30 or 40 visitors just from that email. You know what? I'm still going to post on social media, but let me spend more time crafting emails sent out to my client. And that's really what it does. It lets you know what's working and what's not. Let's say you're on social media and you always post videos and you spend a lot of time creating those videos. But guess what? You're not getting a lot of views on those videos. But you see your posts that are image-based, or picture, they get a lot of views. Great. Now you can look at that and say, you know what? I love video, but my videos don't get viewed. When I post a picture, that gets a lot of views. So now guess what? You can post more pictures because that's the content that is working the best. And once again, that's so important because we're so busy. We all have busy lives. I can't believe today is Thursday. I swear yesterday was just Monday, but we're all busy. So knowing what content works is going to maximize the time you spend on your business, and you don't waste that on time for things that don't really work. Moving on to the next topic. And the next one is it allows you to evaluate which channels drive the most conversions. And that kind of lines up what I just said. You can see what content works the most. And when we say conversions, that means what drives a sale, what drives a phone call, what drives a PDF download. A conversion really means what it means to you. What is the ultimate goal that you want somebody to take? So when you send out an email blast, maybe the ultimate goal is not making a sale. Maybe that conversion is making a click, coming to your website, and then downloading a PDF, or coming to your website and signing up for a consultation. That is conversion. So once again, you can see what pieces of content, what activities you're doing that are linked to sales. And once again, that's so important because once you know what works, you can shy away from the things that don't work and spend more of your time working on the things that actually work for your business. So that's so key. So once again, I'll put it on the screen again, but these are the things that analytics can really do for your business. Once again, they can help you learn which terms people search for. They can help you get an understanding of your customer. You can understand what content works, and you can understand what channels, what form of digital marketing is making the most money for your business. So I'm talking a lot. Let me check in on you real quick. So, question: are you ready to learn more? So, if you're ready to learn more, I'm going to get in more analytics. If that sounds good to you, type 5. If you're saying more, please give me a zero. If you're saying, hey, buddy, wrap it up. So if you're ready to learn more about analytics, give me a 5. If you're ready to check out, ready to start the weekend, give me a 0. So type that in the chat box and then we'll get started. Once again, see a lot of 5s. Appreciate that. Fives are always good. All right, let's get back to the webinar. All right, now we're talking about how to navigate Google Analytics. And once again, I said it before, and somebody said in the comments, sometimes analytics can just be too much. It's overwhelming. There's so much content, there's so much numbers, and it's hard to figure out, what information you need to focus on. So tonight, we're going to talk about that. I'm going to tell you what parts of analytics you need to spend the most time on, and really will tell you what's going on your website. Cynthia, thank you. This is good. 5. I appreciate it. I work hard on these presentations, so it's always good when I can hear your feedback. So I appreciate that. All right, this is the first section I want to talk about. This is the dashboard of Google Analytics. So when you first sign into your account, this is a picture of what you see, and I'll make this a little bigger so you Can you hear me now? If so, just type in the chat box. Let me know. Give me a yes if you can hear me. No, you still can't hear me. Wow. Not sure what's going on. Give me 1 second. Let me look into that. Okay. Now you can hear me great. Okay, here we go. So I said a lot of good stuff. I'll say it again. This is the dashboard of analytics, and this is what you will see when you log in. And once again, there's a lot going on here. So one thing I'll talk about right here, if you see where it says overview, if you scroll down, say right now, and what this does, it's giving you a real-time feed of what's going on your website. So this number may change. You may go down to 21 or 23 when we're talking, but now we're on 26. So you know immediately who's on your website. Under that's kind of small. It'll tell you if they're on a desktop, on a mobile. Over here, it's saying how long it's in your website and how long it's spending per page. So this is kind of a quick overview that you can use to understand what's going on your website. If you scroll down some, it'll tell you the top pages. See that right here, homepage and so on. So once again, it'll tell you instantly what's going on with your website. And scroll down again, it will tell you the top locations. So you can see where people are viewing your website from. And once again, that's very helpful because if I know where my customers are coming from, then I can align my marketing and my messaging to really match those locations. So that's the first view that's really important. When you log in, you go to that real-time overview, and it's going to give you information on that. Under that, there's some more tabs. I'll scroll through real quickly. One is, like I said, the location. Knowing where your customers locate is so key. So you can see what country they're coming from. You can even click on country. You can see state, and it'll tell you what state they're logging in from. And once again, so if you are building a campaign and you know you're getting a lot of visitors from New York, great. Now you know you need to change the messaging of your campaign. Why? Because you've been writing content all the time for Florida, and you have no visitors from Florida. Most of the visitors are coming from another state. So it's really important to find out where they're coming from. If you want, you can click on a city name and get a really in-depth view of that. So once again, understanding location is very important. The next one is going to be traffic sources. And once again, it's in real time. So it'll tell you where they're coming from. These people came directly to the site. So once again, when you log in, you want to look over here on the left-hand side to this dashboard, click on real time, and you'll see the real-time stats. Any questions about real-time stats before I move on? Okay. The next one we're going to talk about is audience. And audience is so important because getting an understanding of what your audience is doing when you're on your website is so key. Once again, understanding what they're doing is so key to having a good website. So getting an understanding of the users and what they're doing. So once again, let's go back to analytics and let me show you that. So once again, left-hand tab here, if you click on audience, it will drop down and you want to click on the audience overview and it'll pull it up. And I'll say quickly, if anybody is taking notes or trying to remember where I went, don't worry about that. Just like every webinar, this one's recorded. So if you miss anything, you can always play it back and you can see what I'm doing. Also, at the end of this webinar, I'm going to share more videos and how-tos from Google to how you can navigate Google Analytics even better. All right, back again. Sorry about that. So backing up again, this is the audience tab once again, and this is so key because it lets you know what's going on with your audience. And your audience within analytics, they refer to them as users. Users are just your customers that come to your website. So that's the term they use. Um, so the people that came to the website, page views. That's how many pages are they viewing when they come to your website. So totally, we have 90,000 page views, but per person or per visit, the average person they visit about 5.2 pages. So that gives you a little understanding of what your customer is doing, how long they are staying on your website. And once again, that's information you can use to make your site even better. Because if people are spending a short amount of time on your website, that probably means that they're seeing something that they don't like, they're confused, they don't see the right information, and they're going back to Google to find another company. So the longer you can have somebody on your website, the better. That means that they like your website, they like what they're seeing, and they are more likely to make a purchase. The next thing we want to look at is average session. So that what that is how long the person is spending on your website. So on this site, the average person is spending about 3 minutes and 11 seconds. That's actually pretty good. That means the person's on the website, they like it, and they're reading information. But again, you always want to have a higher time on site because the more time somebody's on your site, that means the more they're reading information, and probably they're more likely to make a purchase if they're spending more time on your website. One more stat is bounce rate. We talked about this last webinar, and you want to keep this under 50%. And this is the number of people that come to your website and leave automatically. That because it's a mistake, they don't see what the information they want, and that's why they leave. So once again, you want to try to keep this number always under 50%. More information about our audience. Once again, it'll tell you what country they're coming from, what city. Look over here. It'll tell you what language. You can see English is the leading one, followed by Canadian, Spanish, and so on. And also we can see even what browser they're using, or if they come to your site on a mobile phone or Android or Apple. So once again, really detailed, but when it comes to the audience tab, you want to make sure you click on the overview on tab, and it'll give you a general understanding of what is going on with your customers. So that's a good place to look. Let's go back to the slides again. So the next one is acquisition, and that tells how people found your website. And I said that earlier. That's so key. Finding out how people came to your website, because once you find that out, you can build more information on your site that will have them come back to your website. So let's just pause for a second here. And doing a lot of talking. I'm showing a lot of numbers and stats on the screen. I want to hear from you. Do you have any questions about analytics? Or are there any parts of analytics you're having problems with? If so, feel free to drop those in the chat and I'll answer those. So I'm talking about a lot of things, but there's a detailed question you have about analytics that you want me to cover. If so, just drop that in the chat and I'll be sure to answer that question. Okay. Let's get back to the slides here. So going back again to analytics. And like I said before, left-hand tab here, and you want to scroll down to acquisition. And once again, that's how people found your website. You want to click on this tab right here. And once again, there's a lot of options on that tab, but we want to focus on overview. So you want to click on overview. That will, yeah, Cynthia, that's a great question. Let me show that quickly on the screen. So Cynthia wants to know, how do I connect my website to Google Analytics? That is a great question. That's the slide I have later in the presentation. So stay tuned and I will talk more about how to connect that. But pretty quickly, I'll say once you create an account on Analytics, what happens is you will get a tracking code. And the code is a string of numbers. It's a string of code. And you copy that code and you paste that into the body of your website. And that way, Google Analytics can track your website and tell you what's going on. But later, I'll get exactly how you do that. I'll show you step by step on how you take the tracking code from Google Analytics and install that on your website so it can track everything that happens. But great question. I'll be sure to answer that later when we get to that section. Thanks again. So going back, again, we're talking about acquisition. So a lot going on here, but it's telling you pretty much how somebody came to your website. So if we scroll up here, we can see top channels. And once again, top channels are just saying the top networks. Are they on directly, paid search? How did they come to you? So most visitors are coming to this site directly. That means they're typing in the name of the website and they're coming to the site. Next one is paid search. We'll talk about paid search in another webinar, but that means they're finding an ad on Google Analytics, on Google search. They're clicking that ad and coming back to the website. Display is also kind of like paid search, doing advertising, and then other that can be emails and so on. But once again, you get an understanding of what channels are bringing the most people to your website. And then you can spend more time on those channels, making sure that people are spending more time there and coming back to your site. So once again, you can see it breaks down people that came direct, paid search. It didn't tell you their behavior. Are they staying on the site long or not? The bounce rate for direct is way lower than paid search. That's normal because paid search is an ad. Somebody's guessing. So they may come to your site and not know. But chances are when somebody types in your website address directly, they know exactly what they're looking for. So that's not surprising to see. So let's give another example here in acquisition. If you go down to all traffic, once again, it breaks down the channels, how they found you. Just 1 second while it loads. Okay. So there we go. Once again, it breaks down direct, how they found you, paid search, and so on. Sources and mediums is kind of the same thing, but once again, the breakdown, they found you directly, they found you through Google Ad, through a search, and so on. But it's really key to get an understanding of how somebody found your website, because then you can say, hey, this customer took this path. I have other customers that brought the same path to my website. Let me make sure that I'm doing things I can lead them down that path into a sale. But to go back to the slide, analytics is just telling you, acquisition, is telling you how the visitor found your website. And that's so key. You want to understand how they came to your website. The next one we'll talk about is behavior. And this is very key also. So behavior is finding out when they come to your website, what are they doing? That is very key. Are they downloading a PDF? Are they staying long? What behaviors are they taking on your website? So again, let's go back to analytics. And once again, right here on the left side, you're going to see all your main tabs and you see behavior. Click on that. To start off, we'll click on overview and it'll show us an overview. So once again, this is telling me how many views I had, how many page views, time on site, and also bounce rate. So just more information on what they're doing. It also will tell you what pages they're coming to. In most websites, the number one visited page is going to be the home page. That's kind of across the board. But what I was saying before, if you create a page in your website about a certain product or a certain service, this allows you to see how many people are going to that certain page. And then from that, you can tell if a lot of people are going to that page, it lets you know that that page is very popular. So the second page in here is baskets. So that lets you know that people are coming to the site to look for baskets. So now you can create more information to make that page even better. So it's very important to understand, what exactly is going on and what page is getting the most traffic to your website. And once again, I'll let you explore and use your own time, but there are so many options on your behaviors. But once again, always start out with the overview. Overview is always the first tab in any category. And once again, I'll give you a general overview of kind of how it works. And I'll say this one more time, but you can always go over here to the right hand side. You can always click on this down arrow and you can choose a date. So let's say we want to track May. We can choose May, hit apply, and the numbers will change and it'll show May. So once again, the great thing about this, you can always go back in time and you can view view reports and data and see what happened. Also at the top here, you have the option to download a report. So let's say you want to print this out to look at it. The best way is you hit export and you just hit PDF. And what will happen is a PDF will download. And then that way you have a printout of what's going on. So let's open it up here. So this is a PDF, so it gives you a different view. So if you kind of want to print this out, this is kind of a good view to have. And once again, this goes for any part of analytics. You can always go up top to the right and change the date. And you can always export any reports. That way you can have a better understanding. And sometimes it helps if you print things out and you look at the stats and trends of how they happen. So always remember to make sure you're looking at the right dates. And if you want to, you can also export any of these the reports. Okay, and the next one is convergence. This is really important. Like I said, conversions are what you want the customers to do. That can be buying a product. That can be signing up for your newsletter. That can be booking a consultation. That can be downloading a PDF, making a phone call. So I said this in the opening, but once again, you want to have goals for your website. You just don't want to have visitors come to your website because that's normal. So the whole goal of somebody to come to your website is to move them towards making a purchase. And I think sometimes there's a marketing, we jump the gun. We think we can post an ad, we can make a post on social media, and immediately that's going to be a sell. Now that happens sometimes, but more times than not, it's a stepping stone to a sell. So the ultimate goal is to get somebody to come to your website. On social media, the ultimate goal is to get somebody to come to your website. On email, the goal is to get somebody to come to your website. If you're doing a video on YouTube, the goal is to have somebody come back to your website. And that's the first goal, to come to your website. And then when they get there, think about what you want them to do. Do you want them to book a phone call for service, download a PDF? That is conversion. What is that conversion for your website? That's something you want to think about. Because once you have that conversion in mind, you know how to display your website. So if a conversion for you is something about free consultation, then through your website, whether that's the header or a pop-up, you want to have that offered because that's a conversion for you. So once again, think about what is a conversion for you. And sometimes it's a sell, but especially if you're a B2B company, somebody is not going to buy automatically. They're going to book a phone call, a consultation, they're going to download a PDF, and then it's going to lead to a sale. So think about, what you want people to do when they come to your website. to the presentation. So conversions, once again, if you go on the left hand side right here and you go down to conversions and click that, if you click on goals overview, that kind of gives you an outline. And I'll say this, setting up goals too is definitely, I would say, a more advanced task in analytics. It's not something you do right away. And if you're new to this is something that you work to, you work to tracking what happens on your website. So this is if you're selling something, that can be a goal or downloading a PDF. So goal completions, 14,000. That means 14,000 people came to the website. They made a purchase, downloaded a PDF, something like that. That is a goal completion. The next thing is we have the abandonment rate. Once again, that's how people, they started to fill out the form for service and they stopped. So you want to keep an eye on that, because if people are starting to buy something on your website, starting to see an email, then they stop, then that's me. Maybe you're asking too many questions on your forms, or something about that is throwing them off. So you want to keep a good eye on how people are abandoning your shopping cart or your email as well. And once again, going to conversions, it'll tell you what pages has the most conversions. And you see the first one, second one says registered success, order completion. That means somebody made an order on the website, and that's why it's a goal. So once again, goals are something that I'll say are a little more advanced, but you want to begin to think about what are those conversions for your website. What are the things that you can track? And those things you track are always not sales, but they're things that lead up to a sale. So you want to find a way to track those. Okay, so moving on, I have a few minutes left here. Let's wrap things up. So once again, I said a lot today. Quickly, hours go quick. Like I said, analytics is a very powerful tool. Luckily, Google has a lot of free information to help you down that path. So if you don't have a Google Analytics account, the first thing you do is you can visit this address right here, g.co analytics, and that can take you to a sign up page. And let me drop that in the chat real quick. So if you don't have a Google Analytics account, visiting this website is the best way to get started. And it's very, very simple. They guide you through how to set up a website, how to get started. So that's the best way to get started. Let me drop that in the chat real quick. Okay. So that's the first thing you do. So once you have an account set up, the next question that I believe Cynthia asked was, how do you connect into your website? And it's something called tracking code. And when you sign up for an account analytics, you get a code that looks something like this. And then you take this code and you paste it in your website. So if you're using like WordPress or one of those tools, you can ask your developer, or you can get into the code of your website and you can just paste this code in there. Also, there are a lot of plugins. So if using Squarespace or some website builder, a lot of times there's a section, if you just search in whatever platform your website in, that says tracking code, and you copy this code and you put it in. Let me just show you quickly where to find that code. So if you go in to analytics and you scroll down to admin over here on the left, it's going to open up, and click on tracking information right here. It's pretty simple. Click on tracking code, and what it's going to do is give you a code to track. So this is your unique ID for Google Analytics right here. So what you would do is just copy this code and you would cut and paste it into your website, and that way it can track you. Or you can take this code right here, copy it again, and you can put that into the HTML of your website. And that is the easiest way to track your website using analytics. It's just copying that code and making sure that code is in your website. Was that clear, Cynthia? Any questions about how to track your website with analytics? Okay, I want to share one more tool with you before we end. And this tool is called Google Data Studio. So I just showed you analytics, and like I said, analytics sometimes is a lot going on. But if you use Data Studio, that is a better way to make reports. So I will show you a sample of that. Once again, Data Studio is free, just like analytics. If you sign up, I believe you use the same login ID and create an account on Data Studio, and I'll show you that quickly. So before I get to that, I have one more question. It says, so can I use the same tracking code for multiple websites? That would be cool. I can check all my sites from one location. You can do that, but I would say no, because you want to see what site is performing the best. I would say the best thing to do is to, if you want to track 3 separate accounts and track it that way. So yeah, you want to understand where the traffic is coming from. So you can do that. The sites are very similar, maybe, but I would say in most times you want to create a separate account for each one of those websites, so they have a separate tracking code, because that way you can tell what's working and what's not working. If you use the same code, all your data is going to be jumbled together. So let me drop this in the chat real quick. Once again, this is called Google Data Studio. It's free to set up. I'll drop the link in the chat right now, and I'll show you how it works. And Data Studio is great because it allows you to create faster reports that are a little easier to understand than going through analytics. So once you sign up for an account, this is of course a dummy account, but it gives you an idea what's going on. So I'll show you a sample of a sample report. Let's click on this report right here. Well, let's go back. Let's try this one instead. So this is very similar to analytics, but different. So a little hard to see, but it gives you more information, more stats, landing pages. One thing I like about this is it has queries, so you can see the actual words that somebody typed in to find your website. Once again, I don't have a ton of time, but Google Data Studio is definitely a good tool to use. Once again, Google has a ton of options and programs that help you track your website. But once again, if you visit the first link I sent you or the second one on Data Studio, they have more information on that. So just to closing out, once again, analytics is so powerful because it allows you to identify patterns in your customers' behavior. And from that, you can make decisions. And once again, that's why you want to use analytics. And that's why you want to use Google Analytics, because it's free. It can be a lot, but once again, Google has so many resources, videos that can lead you through that to make it a lot easier. But once again, you cannot improve what you don't track. So the starting point of any website, social media, is to see where you're at, have a baseline, and then say, I'm going to take these tasks, these actions to prove that. But once again, there's no way you can do that without knowing where you're at. So that's why using analytics is so important. It helps you establish that baseline. So in closing, if you need more help, I would suggest that you visit Google's. They have a academy called Analytics Academy. And this site is great. I can't show it now, but it has videos, how-tos, everything. It's a great resource. It goes much more in depth into everything I just said. I'll share that link in the chat also. But if you go to this link, there's much more information, videos, and how-tos on how to do stuff. And once again, it's a great tool to use. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to send those to program at blackchambers.org. And once again, we'll do our best to get back to you. Any questions or comments, send us that. Also, if you want more information or more training, feel free to visit usblackchambers.org. Like I said, webinar, some more trainings. And like I said before, I said a lot tonight. So this webinar is recorded on all platforms, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. I would encourage you to rewatch this webinar and, step by step, pull up your account and walk through and see what I was talking about. So I would advise that. Yeah, thank you, Cynthia. It was a lot of information. I'm glad it wasn't over your head, but once again, this is a starting point. I encourage you to keep on educating yourself, keep on learning about analytics because there's so much to it. So on that, we're going to close out. Thank you again for joining me. We'll be back again on next Tuesday with our next webinar. So please join us again on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Once again, I'm rooting for you. I want you to win. So whether this webinar or next webinars, it's all about helping you. So please keep asking questions, keep making comments. And if this webinar is helping you, do me a favor, share with a friend. Recommend it to another business owner that needs help. Once again, this is a community. If we can help each other grow, that's what it's all about. So once again, thank you for your time tonight. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next week. Thanks. Bye.